If Cambodia were to continue to grow at 5% per year, it would reach high income status at around 2060. To accelerate that by 10 years and achieve it in 2050, Cambodia would need to grow at around 7% per year. Okay, 5% per year versus 7% per year. In terms of achieving that, I have some good news, some bad news, and some great news.
You touched on it a little bit there, but of course, for these negative impacts that are expected, what can Cambodia really do to kind of shield from them or, just like deal with them really?
The challenge, as always in these kinds of situations, is that resources are limited. And when resources are limited, I believe it's most important to focus on those who are most vulnerable, those who are least equipped to deal with the shock themselves. And in the case of this particular crisis, evolving crisis, that would be rural workers, older workers who are finding it hard to get a new job, and also at the same time are trying to support many dependents, especially school-aged children. If you look at the ID Poor program, just in the last few months since May, since the conflict escalated, the ID Poor program coverage has increased by 5%. It's enrolled households that include more than 200,000 individuals. That's a great sign of responsiveness. The efforts of the Ministry of Labor and Vocational Training have been pivotal in finding jobs for 300,000 workers. There's also, upcoming new programs like the graduation-based social protection program that's being rolled out in two areas of the country. We're living in a world of policy shocks, climate shocks, technology shocks, and in this kind of world, no job is safe. All jobs are vulnerable, right? It doesn't matter if you're a seasonal worker in Thailand or if you're a factory worker in Kandal, or if you're an office worker in Watanak Tower, all jobs are vulnerable. And that's why it's so important that social protection programs are very flexible in their coverage, but at the same time, inflexible in their commitment.
Given all these geopolitical developments, the ADB did actually revise its growth forecast for Cambodia downward for both 2025 and 2026. But in the meanwhile, Cambodia is still expected to graduate from LDC status in 2029 and also further down the line become a high-income country by 2050. Now, would you say that Cambodia is still on track to kind of like meet these long-term growth goals? And what do you think like the country would have to do to actually achieve these milestones?
Yes, we're starting, of course, with the short term, the downgrade for 2025 and 2026 projections. And that's a slight downgrade that's common across all economic observers, not just ADB. And of course, it reflects the dual shocks that we've been talking about so far, the tariff and the border crisis. Now, turning more to the long term, your question is about meeting long-term targets. And the simple mathematical answer is no, but I want to qualify that heavily. Cambodia, since the COVID-19 crisis ended, has been growing at roughly 5% per year. If Cambodia were to continue to grow at 5% per year, it would reach high income status at around 2060. To accelerate that by 10 years and achieve it in 2050, Cambodia would need to grow at around 7% per year. Okay, 5% per year versus 7% per year. In terms of achieving that, I have some good news, some bad news, and some great news. The good news is that Cambodia has achieved this in the past, very recently and very consistently. If you look at the decade before COVID, Cambodia was growing rapidly, in excess of 7% per year. That's the good news. The bad news is that it's going to be harder to replicate that performance now than it was 10 years ago. And that's just the simple fact that the richer a country it is, typically the harder it becomes to grow. Finally, the great news. The great news is that what's going to help Cambodia achieve 7% growth over the coming decades is investing in its competitiveness as an economy. And those kinds of programs and investments are already ongoing. Investments to lower the cost of electricity and logistics, lower the cost of doing business, These are things that are so important for building investors' confidence in Cambodia as a production hub, as an investment destination. I think we can focus on electricity because it's a very clear example there. The cost of electricity in Cambodia is about double the cost in some of its regional competitors. And of course, that has serious implications for foreign investors when they're thinking about where to do business. But there are ongoing major investments in strengthening the power grid and accessing alternative energy sources that are going to be very important for lowering that cost of energy and building up Cambodia as a destination. But in the long term, it's a very bright picture, and the priorities have been the same as they were before these crises. And ADB is very proud to stand with the government of Cambodia as a partner on these priorities.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, Milan, for your time today and for sharing your detailed insights on the report as well as on your economic outlook for Cambodia.
Thank you. I really appreciated the questions, and I hope that we can talk again in a few months in a calm situation and talk about the economy some more.
Right, of course. We really hope for that as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been with B2B Cambodia. Thanks for watching. Join us next time as we continue to bring you more news, updates, and developments from the business community in the Kingdom of Cambodia.